Hello and welcome to the in-depth series of Drishti IAS. You must have heard about collegium system being involved when it comes to the appointment of judges, but transfers are also under it. A number of judges have been transferred recently, which has again been conflicted. The conflict lies in the fact that opaqueness of the collegium system as well as no transparency that is available in the collegium system is responsible for it. So we are going to talk about that only from the perspective of quality, that is GS Mains Paper 2 as well as your prelims examination. This particular segment is important. Moving ahead now, let's first of all talk about the transfer of judges and the constitution. According to Article 222, it is provided that the transfer of judges will take place and the President is responsible for it, but not on his or her discretion, but after the consultation with the Chief Justice of India, and Chief Justice of India does it with the help of collegium. And the compensatory allowance is also provided for in this particular article for those judges who have been transferred. Alright. Moving ahead now, let's talk about the current procedure. The current procedure is highly dictated by the second judge's case. Second judge's case was of the opinion that CJI ought to mean the views of plurality of judges. That means CJI will not work according to his or her own will, but he or she will consult the senior judges. That is the collegium system. But the thing is, the judge who is being transferred, the consent of that judge is not required. And all transfers are to be made in public interest in order to ensure that talents across India in the field of judiciary are exchanged. And of course, there is no instance that a person or a judge stays in one sort of place and starts developing favoritism. So it also takes the view, according to the current procedure, it is important to take the views of CJ of the court that is concerned. For example, Allahabad High Court's, any judge has to be transferred from Allahabad High Court. The consent or consultation from the CJ or Chief Justice of Allahabad High Court has to be taken place. And if the person is being, transferred to Bombay High Court, then what will happen? The views of the CJ of Mumbai High Court will also have to be considered. Okay, as well as the CJ, both these have been covered. And of course, views of one or more Supreme Court judges who are in a position to offer their views are also needed. So basically, this is the collegium system only. Now let's talk about the expression. If I have to express my views, then the views will be expressed in writing only. And this expression will be considered by the CJI and 4 other senior most judges, that is the collegium. And of course, it will be provided, the list of names will be provided to the Union Law Minister. After the scrutiny by the Union Law Minister, the names will go to the Prime Minister, and then the Prime Minister or the executive, basically the executive comes into the picture from here. So then the Prime Minister will talk to the President about it, and hence the President will work accordingly. So now what is the collegium system? The collegium system is basically a system in which the CJI is there as the head, and the CJI will consult the other 4 senior most judges in order to make appointments and transfers. And this is basically a 5-member body. One is the CJI, Chief Justice of India, and others are the 4 most senior judges. Okay, so let's talk about the evolution of the collegium system. It all started in the first judge's case of 1981, where the Supreme Court said that the primacy of Chief Justice of India's recommendation can be refused if there are cogent reasons. Okay, so executive primacy ruled for the next 12 years. That means if it is okay for the executive to not pay heed to what the CJI has to say for certain reasons, they can, of course, deny the role of CJI's opinion. In the second judge's case, it introduced second judge's case was the introduction of collegium system, and it held that the consultation really means concurrence. The CJI's opinion does not mean that only CJI's opinion will prevail over the other judges, but consultation actually means concurrence. Everybody has to say everybody has to agree to an opinion, okay, or a fact. In the third judge's case, it was in reference to the precedent's reference, basically, that is Article 143, in which the Supreme Court on precedence reference expanded the collegium to a 5-member body. So birth 1993 and expansion took place in 1998. Moving ahead now, if we talk about the cases related to the transfer of judges, let's pay attention to the first one is the Union of India versus Sankal Chand Himmatlal Seth case of 1977. Here, the Supreme Court rejected the idea that High Court judges can be transferred only with their consent. So this was rejected. And it also said that any transfer should be exercised only in public interest. That means to exchange talents and views and the experiences that the judges accrued over the years. And the President is under the obligation to consult the CJI. So here also CJI came into the picture. In the SP Gupta versus President of India case of 1981, that is the first judge's case only, the Supreme Court considered the validity of the transfer of judges as well as the circular from the Law Ministry, in which the circular said that additional judge in all high courts may be asked for their consent to be appointed as permanent judges in any other high court and to name 3 preferences, which did not, of course, work. Now comes the second judge's case, SCARA versus Union of India. Here, the Supreme Court, in effect, it emphasized the primacy of the executive in the matters of appointments and transfers. Later on, what we saw that through this only, the second judge's case only, what happened, that CJI had to ensure that it consulted, and consultation did not mean primacy of CJI's opinion but concurrence only. Okay, so that has been covered. Now let's move to the criticism of the transfer of judges. First of all, we have to understand that collegium system is very opaque. It works very opaquely. So the first criticism always goes towards its opaqueness. There are no set criteria on what criteria do transfers take place, on what criteria do appointments take place. So similarly, we can see that certain time transfers work as not with a positive motive behind it, but a punitive motive behind it. That means transfers work when the judges might not have something like integration of India as a whole in mind, or transfer of talent as a whole in mind, but as of punitive measures. Okay, so it creates a lot of hassle for one person as a judge to move from one place to another. So first of all, first criticism is that. And also, as I told you again and again, it's very opaque, so reasons have not been disclosed. Reasons rarely get disclosed about what is the reason why a judge is being transferred. And certain times it can also be there that because of certain adverse opinions, a judge is not, agreeing to the CJ of the High Court. It can also occur because of the independence of the mind of that person, of that judge. Also, transfer can occur. So these are the criticisms. Now, if we talk about a question, let us look at this question. Which of the following articles provides for the transfer of High Court judges? Article 222, Article 234, Article 232, Article 233. And also remember that the collegium system in the High Court is made up of 2 judges and the CJ. Okay, remember this. So that's it. Thank you so much for watching and stay updated.